Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review the second episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I would say that this episode has a give and take to it. There are good sides about this episode, but I could also say that the entire episode is to just build up one character. So you have it to where there is, of course, this episode ties both Falcon and Winter Soldier working together, which is great. We also have seemingly U.S. agent also tying himself to Falcon and Winter Soldier. And we also seem to tie in a comic book character that people may not be aware of. We get to find out that seemingly the super soldier serum was not actually as hard to come by as we are led to believe. I feel that Winter Soldier tends to drive something home within this entire episode because I think there isn't much for Falcon and Winter Soldier to really do within this episode. It kind of becomes a very dominant U.S. agent episode, and when we have that, there isn't much going on in a real episode here that I'm going like, okay, so all I need to care about is U.S. agent. Everything else that's kind of going on in this episode kind of doesn't exactly mean a whole lot, but I thought there was a lot of good things going on in this episode regardless. So, and I like the fact that they really do tie in the first episode with the second episode. There is a time where Winter Soldier ends up getting in trouble because of something that he did or was not doing that was otherwise tied in from the first episode. There's a lot of continuity from episode to episode, and I appreciated that. If anything, the one thing that I would have liked is there to be in every single episode a opening villain character, because when looking at it, there are very few episodes we are going to get that will have a villain present. It seems, though, that we do get a better understanding of the Flag Smasher characters. If anything, if they weren't focused on the first episode, they are more focused on this episode. So, really, I would say overall, good episode, solid action scenes, and we get to find out who the U.S. agent is, which I think is the best possible thing about this episode. But yeah, so I think it's about that time to go into spoilers about here. So let's go and just notch that down. So I would say, yeah, episode's still good. Like, as if people needed to say that. I'm like, oh yeah, I was hoping that these episodes were gonna go horribly awry. No, it's just all a setup. So for one character, and then set up for the next episode is really what all really just this episode breaks down to be. So let's go into, if I haven't already, the double 5 time count told me. So spoiler time. It's about that time I'm going to spoil this show. So we go on, and we have to show U.S. agent going, I guess, from school to school to school, to do an interview to help people be rest assured about U.S. Agent, giving U.S. Agent a full-on backstory to the public, ultimately having U.S. Agent having a love interest at this school, and we end up also finding out that Battlestar actually is a part of this story, which is technically U.S. Agent's version of Bucky is Battlestar, which I was like, yeah, I'm like, good, they're introducing this character right out of the gate, which I was severely happy with. So we end up having U.S. Agent going out onto this football field where there are, of course, there's a lot of times where they are calling this guy the Star Spangled Man, kind of reminiscent of the very first Captain America movie where they call him the Star Spangled Man with the plan, where in this we end up having it to where they call him the Star Spangled Man, I think to really just try to avoid calling him Captain America a lot. So, because to me, honestly, he's not really Captain America, he's U.S. Agent. So, we end up having U.S. Agent going out and doing a interview to ultimately to tell us that U.S. Agent was to be known by Steve Rogers, that U.S. Agent had met Steve Rogers through military and so on and so forth. It seems that we also had a image being put out, or a thing showing of U.S. Agent's test run, where we had it to where U.S. Agent was throwing the shield and bringing it back and like basically doing tests to see if he could cut it as, I guess, Captain America, so on and so forth, which I thought was really great. I'm like, that's really inserting like the extra mile of helping us see that, no, this character is going to be really awesome. So we end up finding out that Falcon and Winter Soldier are going on a mission together. We have them go together to try and intercept these Flag Smasher like characters. We end up having Winter Soldier really ragging on Falcon for giving up that shield. Because we end up having it to where Winter Soldier ends up telling Falcon, it's like, hey man, like, Captain America gave you that shield and you threw it away. Why? He chose you. Like, if anything, he thought he was right about you, and if he wasn't right about you, then he wasn't right about me, being his sidekick, being his guy. So we have Falcon and Winter Soldier going together, going from plane to these semi trucks to intercept these Flag Smashers. We end up finding out that all these Flag Smashers evidently have super soldier serum in place within them to make it very difficult for a guy like Falcon or a guy like Winter Soldier to take these guys out on their own. So we end up finding that U.S. Agent and Battlestar also try and help out Falcon and Winter Soldier through these duo semi battling, and I was like, man, this is freaking awesome. We end up having Winter Soldier falling at the bottom of this semi, and we end up having Falcon end up falling from off of this semi to fly off and try to get back onto the truck. We end up having Battlestar ending up falling off the truck, U.S. Agent going and throwing his shield to have Battlestar kind of land on the shield and land onto the ground without having to hurt himself, so on and so forth. We end up having every single one of these heroes end up failing and falling from this truck. So we end up a lot of times within this episode having either Falcon or US Agent basically telling us that this is going to lead to the big three, which is either aliens or wizards or some kind of something within these episodes. So, or within this episode, I mean, we end up having U.S. Agent try to give a olive branch to Falcon and Winter Soldier, trying to say, hey man, how about we all work together? Like, we're all going to do the exact same missions anyways. And Falcon and Winter Soldier is like, no, we're freelance. If anything, no, we're not going to be a part of your club, because just because you're Captain America doesn't mean that you're going to be my leader. So I kind of thought that was fascinating. So we end up finding out that U.S. Agent had gone and tried to commandeer basically Falcon's tech to locate where they were in this first fight scene. And so we end up finding out that it seems that US Agent is just going to like, hey man, like I want to, like he's kind of a guy that is the tag along person where it's like, hey, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this group. Let me come along. Let me come. So we end up having Winter Soldier taking Falcon to see a guy named Isaiah. For Winter Soldier to tell Falcon, yeah, Super Soldier Serum is not as hard to come by as you think. And so we end up having Falcon and Winter Soldier going to this guy that is to have said that he was a Captain America at some point as well. We end up having kids calling Falcon Black Falcon to ultimately set us up for us to see Black Captain America, because evidently this character was called Black Captain America, I guess. So this is foreshadowing and to set us up for a character that has a name in comic books called Captain America. So we go to Isaiah and we find out that Isaiah had tried to battle Winter Soldier before and had also been a guy that had been experimented on, quite possibly having them try to figure out how to be able to mass produce, I think quite possibly, the Super Soldier Serum again, when eventually they perfected it on this gentleman. So we eventually have Falcon and Winter Soldier leaving this place, and it seems that cops are swarming around them as if they had broken some law of something that makes no sense. We end up finding out that the police officers end up recognizing both Falcon and Winter Soldier, and we end up finding out also that Winter Soldier had skipped out on his mandatory therapy session, which is to force him to basically go to jail. We end up having Winter Soldier's therapist going to try and release him from prison, but eventually, instead, we end up having U.S. Agent trying to release Bucky from prison because U.S. Agent is basically saying, hey, like, I want these guys on my side, whether they want to come with me anyways. And so, if, like, they can't be tied up with anything. And so, whatever they need to do to get me to have them, then I will do. I will, whatever I need, however I can make their lives a much better place, so to speak. That is what I will do, kind of thing. So we end up having Bucky's therapist going into an interrogation room to force both Winter Soldier and Falcon to look at one another and kind of talk things out. Where again we end up having it to where Winter Soldier airs out his grievances of mentioning that Falcon threw that shield away. And so Falcon ends up saying, like, well, like I didn't want the shield. I didn't want the shield. I didn't know. Like, I think Falcon still wants to, one, live in the past, but I think Falcon also doesn't really and truly want the responsibility that could quite possibly be tied to being Captain America. Have everyone looking at him, even much more so than when he was Falcon. Maybe there's, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, there could be a lot of conspiracy theorists of why exactly Falcon doesn't want the shield. Maybe because he doesn't think that he has properly earned the shield yet. I think that could be the best real answer of why Falcon does not want the shield, is because he did not earn it. He just felt that it was just like, oh, well, hey, here you go. And Falcon hasn't quite earned that right in his own mind to have that shield yet, which is perfectly fine. But I guess maybe Falcon was also very resentful of that ultimately, or that agent, U.S. agent, had picked up the shield as well. So going on here, yeah, we end up having this therapy session where both Falcon and Winter Soldier are looking at one another and airing their grievances, and they are to go on to eventually talk to U.S. agent, and basically he is to say to them, well, hey guys, if you're not going to be on my side, then get out of my way. So I thought that that was really interesting. I thought that... But here's the thing, though. We end up having U.S. Agent piggybacking off of Falcon and Winter Soldier's case. But U.S. Agent wants them to get out of his way? Shouldn't that be in reverse? Shouldn't have Falcon said, like, hey, stop piggybacking off of my cases, get out of my way? I don't know. So we again find out, one, Flag Smashers are very underground individuals. We end up finding uh, we end up finding a Flag Smasher girl that is to showcase the Flag Smasher headquarters, which is eventually to have them be preparing for their next outing, for their next attack, which is to commandeer a plane of sorts. And we have one of the Flag Smashers trying to intercept the agents to stall them from getting to the rest of the Flag Smashers, so they won't be able to get these Flag Smashers and so on and so forth. So after this case has kind of gone cold, we end up having Winter Soldier coming up with a consensus that now is the right time to go and talk to Zemo. And we end up having Falcon very hesitant because it's like, hey man, like the last time that you had talked with Zemo, like Zemo had brainwashed you into being a villainous character and brainwashed you into saying a certain combination of words to ultimately have you kill people. But yeah, evidently Winter Soldier kind of convinces Falcon. She's like, "Hey man, it's time. We need to go and talk to Zemo." Ultimately, or when I know I say ultimately a lot, I apologize, but it's a transitional word. It's easy. Whatever. So instead of saying ultimately is the So we have in the very first episode, Winter Soldier eventually was going to have Zemo to go to. Zemo was on the list of characters that Winter Soldier was going to cross off. So it'll be interesting to see the dialogue between Winter Soldier and Zemo within the next episode. So we will see where that breaks down. Other than that, I think really this episode was very simplistic. It's just a build-up of a new character, and it's a seeing of where stories are going to end up next. So, with that said, I think in my head, I think I've kind of combed over everything because there is kind of a repetitiveness within the kind of mixture of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I liked the fact that when Winter Soldier and Falcon had gone and tried to intercept the Flag Smashers, we end up having Winter and Falcon at a kind of like odds with one another, where Winter Soldier wants to do everything the old-fashioned way, and of course Falcon has every like tech advantage to ultimately just make Bucky look dumb. We end up having where Bucky ends up jumping out of the plane to basically crash his way through a bunch of trees, where we end up having, of course, Falcon just flying his way out of a plane, as well as also showcasing exactly how many goons are at the other part of a wall, where Bucky only sees two, but there were like I think 5 or something along those lines. We also have it to where we are to kind of play around with the names of both Falcon and Winter Soldier within this episode, calling, of course, Falcon Black Falcon, or calling Winter Soldier like, "Hey, Bucky," or "Hey, White Wolf or hey, whatever. Because really, we are to, hilariously enough, have Falcon call Barnes Bucky, and ultimately, or blah, 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 and Winter ultimately hates that. He's like, don't call me Bucky. Captain America called me Bucky. Like, you're not Captain America, so don't call me Bucky. Really kind of playing around with the names and wordplays of these characters to kind of see where everyone's head's at with the names and stuff like that. I really like that part of this episode, but yeah. So really, there's a lot of attention to detail within every little bit of this story to kind of see where everyone's head's at with nicknames, everything along those lines. So yeah, I think, gonna get out of here. So goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.